Welcome to a new episode of Cyberchat. I'm going to be your host today, DaveDave from the Zetetic Newscast. I'm the guy who asks all the dumb questions so that you'll proceed by inquiry. Today, we're going to revisit a topic which is going to keep coming up in all of our discussions because it's so central, in my opinion, to the development of the Zetetic News Network and really of promoting free speech and putting the power back into the hands of the creators. But before I get into detail, I just want to preface this discussion by saying I'm not a financial advisor, and this is not meant to constitute any financial advice. Obviously, you need to assess your own needs and your priorities and spend your money accordingly. I am not responsible for any of the decisions that you make as a result of the information provided in this video. Okay. You can go to the Zetetic News YouTube while it's still available and see my introductory 18-minute video about the THETA Network and my, some thoughts about its potential application here at Zetetic News. But today I'm going to go a little bit deeper and talk about some of the things that have happened in the last 2 months. What happened 2 months ago? I mean, 2 months ago, people couldn't imagine the state that we're in now with the lockdowns, the the ubiquity of virtual meetings, the virtualization almost of our human social interactions, and all the Netflix binge watching as well has been sort of a topic du jour in our culture as a result of what's going on with the cerveza virus. And this is only underscoring the problem, the use case that the THETA network and the THETA protocol has been developed from the ground up to address. Just to review, THETA's initial prototype, their sort of use case, is live video streaming. And they outline three of the main problems. One is low quality, low resolution, pauses, skips, and buffering. The high cost of streaming infrastructure. Publishers absorb the high cost operating a central delivery network, leaving less revenue to pass on to a user as a rewards or a monetary payout for the creation of content, and a centralized and inefficient ecosystem. I mean, we see how centralized and inefficient it's getting at YouTube and Twitter and Facebook. They're trying to police everybody's content, and they are monetizing it, but a lot of that money is not going back to the user, and and you don't even really control the content because you give it to the platform, almost as a thank you for them letting you on it. So this is a huge issue, and I think THETA just has one of the most incredible solutions for that, and it does require, participation and adoption. There have to be some early adopters here who are going to sort of pioneer this basic concept. But it's, number one, it's incentivizing both the content creator, the infrastructure provider, and the audience, the folks who are engaging with that content. And it does that through a two-token model, a cryptocurrency, as well as an actual innovative technology that allows you to share spare bandwidth and compute cycles to help make this mesh network basically improve the delivery of streaming content and reward everyone in a non-fiat currency at the same time. Now, there have been projects that have tried to sort of use or harness that spare compute power, such as on the PlayStation 3 and the cell processor, and use it for, silly things like looking for aliens outside, out in space, and quote unquote researching diseases like cerveza virus. But this is an actual legit use case. Video content streaming and demand for that is not going anywhere. If anything, with what's going on, it's only going to go up. And we've seen all the news articles about bandwidth chugging and data caps and data extensions in response to this crisis and so on. Well, we have here a solution that can make people wealthier at the same time if they just understand the mechanism of what Theta is doing and how it will be so appealing to not just new content creators or budding content creators such as ourselves here at ZNN, but also establishment content creators. I mean, CNN and MSNBC and YouTube and Google and Facebook, they all want to spend less on delivering their content as well. And so this is an open sourced protocol that actually doesn't even fall under the SEC definitions of an initial coin offering. So it's actually more akin to buying software when you purchase a Theta token or a TFUEL token. Now, I'm assuming some of you already understand the difference between Theta token and TFUEL. I will go a little fast in this video. If you don't know what these terms are, I suggest you head over to theta-token.org and read up more about it. Again, not a financial advisor. You're responsible for your own due diligence. But Theta tokens are basically the governance token that owners will use to power the network with the creation of TFUEL. And this is something I want to focus on today because I mentioned it in episode 7 of the Zetetic newscast, and that is that ZNN is actually running what's called a guardian node. And you see that here at the top of their sort of workflow chart. And guardian nodes basically stake Theta tokens and earn THETA-FUEL for validating transactions on the blockchain. So when payments are made with TFUEL or Theta tokens are sent or staked or video is streamed or watched or engaged with as defined by the community, these nodes will validate those transactions on the blockchain, and they're completely auditable. It's transparent in that regard. And I'll show you some of the block explorers later so you can see for yourself. But basically, these nodes sell TFUEL into an exchange, and that's where potentially video platforms such as YouTube will buy them and provide them to the viewer for watching the content that's on their video platform. And that some of that goes to the relayer. And a relayer could be you watching the stream and having your spare bandwidth or compute cycles donated, as well as a standalone application such as one that's installed on a smart TV. Now, if you go over to the Theta Token website, you can see more about their partners, and you'll see that they're very closely aligned not only with existing innovators in the live streaming community, but also existing platforms and big companies such as Samsung. I mentioned this in the first introductory video, but Steve Chen, he's a co-founder of YouTube. He's just one of many advisors on this project, and his quotes proudly here at the top. It says, "Theta's innovation is set to disrupt today's online video industry much in the same way that YouTube platform did to traditional video back in 2005. One of our biggest challenges had been the high costs of delivering video to various parts of the world. And this problem is only getting bigger with HD, 4K, and higher quality video streams," said Steve Chen, co-founder of YouTube. Yeah, this is pretty amazing stuff. So there are three main components to the mesh network that you need to understand. One is the edge cacher node. And that's a node, like I said, a standalone application or some other integration with this software component, which enables a computer to share its spare bandwidth and compute cycles with the Theta network. And they will actually act as a video relayer for a peer who wants to view said stream. Then there are guardian nodes, and those guardian nodes validate the transactions which happen on the network, and they earn TFUEL, and those TFUEL go back into the market essentially as like a bandwidth credit for the delivery of the content on the network. And then there are enterprise validator nodes, which my understanding, which is admittedly pretty lay, are just essentially more highly staked and more highly spec'd guardian nodes. And this is what they call a two-layer consensus model. And these two nodes essentially act together to validate the transactions that happen on the blockchain. And, you know, to a viewer, a lot of this is just all in the background. If you want to see what it looks like, you can actually go onto the ZNN site now. We have a dedicated live tab. And this is something I want to highlight as a part of our roadmap, are the integrations and advancements we're making with the future of video content delivery, not just for commercial purposes, but also for the advancement of freedom of speech, which is under threat by these centralized content delivery networks. But as I was saying, if you want to see what it's like for a viewer to participate in this reciprocally remunerated system where you can actually get paid to watch and say esports for 24/7 live, you can do that.
You're watching THETA.TV live esports 24/7 on the Zetetic News Network. Proceed by inquiry.
Not only is that a tight intro, which we developed for our partnership with the THETA.TV live embed turnkey product, but you can flip through and watch live streaming, esports, and even sports, potentially, right? I think they had World Poker Tour on here. It was pretty cool because, oh, it's right here. And look how fast it loads. And look at the fidelity. That's really good resolution. I mean, I've seen much lower resolution YouTube videos chug and buffer. Okay, and so I'm in the THETA.TV live embed turnkey product, and I'm watching live streaming. It's decentralized peer-to-peer streaming right now, and I'm earning TFUEL for engaging with this content. I can come over here and I can type with other stream watchers, and I'm earning TFUEL, sharing my bandwidth right here in browser on the Zetetic News site. And those TFUEL can be, I mean, for this application, you can go over to their gift shop and buy, Theta shirts and stuff like that. It's a prototype, but it's a brilliant model. It does gamify the video window a bit, but that's their discretion. They developed it that way. There are surely going to be new integrations, and in fact, I've confirmed with the director of strategy that the TFUEL token, although it will be a native token on their blockchain, it will be something that can be white labeled. So you might see Netflix adopt the THETA network to reduce their content delivery costs. At the same time, you might begin to earn a Netflix coin that's actually TFUEL underneath, and you might be able to use that Netflix coin perhaps to buy premium Netflix content and or pay for your Netflix subscription. This is the future. THETA delivers the solution, and we're not going to wait for Netflix and YouTube to take advantage of it. We're taking advantage of it. So like I was saying, you should read a little bit more about the protocol and the how it works, but you can go right over to guardianmonitor.io, and this is a reporting of all the active and inactive Guardian nodes which have ever come online. And to basically set up a Guardian node, you have to stake I think, a minimum of 10,000 Theta tokens. And I just want to point out that ZNN is running one of the top 150 Guardian nodes. And what you're looking at is essentially the transaction history of this Guardian node, the Zetetic News Network Guardian node. And what is the point of that? Why is that important? Well, I'm going to flip my view over to the Guardian node. It's a dedicated personal computer that's sitting right here in the Zetetic News studio. And it's a Windows PC. It's an 8-core system. And I'm basically running 2 pieces of software. On the right-hand side, you're seeing the Guardian node software, which after the quote mainnet 2.0 happens at the end of May, anyone will be able to do. You will be able to run your Guardian node as long as you meet the minimum specifications of the Guardian node, which you can read more about on their website. But basically, I have staked 208,948 Theta tokens, which were purchased for the Zetetic News Guardian node. And I am on a 24/7 basis, essentially earning TFUEL for validating the transactions that are happening on the Theta blockchain. And you can see that in the recent activity window there at the bottom, and some other information within that window. Pretty straightforward. Once you set it up, there's not much to it. I check on it, a couple times a day, make sure it's still running. But I also can go to that Guardian Monitor website and confirm whether it's online if I'm remote as well. Okay, so on the left-hand side, this is called the Edge node cacher, and you can actually, if you have a Windows or a PC, you can download this today. I'll provide the link in the description of this video. But it has 2 components, basically the Edge cacher, and that's basically where I'm giving over some of my bandwidth and my compute cycles to relay video to peers. And you can see the peers are, I would presume, geographically based. It looks like in this session, I've only transmitted 427 megabytes, and it lists my efficiency as well. And I've basically accumulated 304 TFUEL token for that job. Just yesterday, I had transmitted over 10 gigabytes and earned a substantially more TFUEL amount. And so down here you have the Edge Player Beta, which came out with this version of the Theta Edge cacher software on April 15th. And this is really cool because this, for the first time, an individual can, I believe, set this application up and stream anything on the Theta network. And currently it's set to free. They're not charging any TFUEL, which you will have to pay out in the final equation in order to access the service of the Theta network. But for now, it's for free to encourage testers to go and contribute and give them things to actually analyze and test. So what's really cool about this, what I want to highlight for the future of ZNN, is we have been, since April 15th, using our dedicated Guardian node, also made this a dedicated Zetetic News streamer. So for basically 24/7, we have been restreaming episodes of the Zetetic News cast on the Theta network. And so this is really cool. I'm not trying to be a braggart or anything, but I do think we are pioneers in a way, because Theta is so new. We're one of only 300 or 400 Guardian nodes who have voluntarily invested in the hardware and the software stake, let's call it, to set these nodes up. And it's really the early decentralized future that we're looking at. So I want to jump back over to this view and just highlight that. I mean, look at the distribution of the hardware and the investment that's already happened, versus the CDN network, which has, obviously very robust hardware and data centers, but are much more centralized. And the other thing is, from a censorship perspective, it becomes almost an impossibility to censor this peer-to-peer content that's being streamed. Now, I mean, I guess you could take down the some of the validator nodes, some of the bigger, the more institutionalized, hardware that are standing this up. But in theory, the more adoption that takes place, the more this software is proliferated, the more decentralized it becomes, the better the network will perform, and the harder it becomes to actually to take that down, much like we've seen with BitTorrents and other such technologies. So I want to just highlight the partnership, right? We've been announced on the Theta Medium website as one of the first 10 partner sites who have integrated the Theta Live embed into their website. So I think we're actually the first news site in this list. So I know their initial sort of user base and use case is esports, but we got to get some news out there as well, right? And they've shown support for us by including us in this announcement. So I love that. One of the points I want to make about the embed here is that this tab is now permanent, and we will be growing this, and hopefully we will be able to embed our 24-hour restream in its own tab. Now, that's not possible yet, even with that cool Edge player, but that should hopefully change with the THETA Network Hackathon. And I want to draw everybody's attention to this. This was announced recently, definitely since I last did a video on this. And hopefully these participants will see the value proposition of the THETA Network and will design some really cool applications. I mean, one I can really think of right off the bat is just a WordPress plugin that allows somebody to sort of white label an experience similar to what theta.tv has done. And you could find use cases for the coins, the TFUEL that come back, and create your own donation system intra-site, which I would love to see for Zetetic.news. And in that regard, I do want to mention, because of the Guardian node that we're running, right, we're constantly generating a supply of TFUEL for validating transactions on the blockchain. And actually, if I go back over to this view, you can see I have accumulated 18,368 TFUEL coins for running the Zetetic News Guardian node basically 24/7. So I want to create an incentive model, an incentive program, essentially, that will enable us to pay contributors to the Zetetic News Network, so we can create that sort of self-sustaining and also free of fiat type of culture and system and dependency on ourselves. So that's something I'm planning and will very soon announce. I have to sort of project out how much TFUEL I will be generating with our node and our activities, along with what I've already accumulated, in addition to what has been generated by the Guardian node. But I'll be working on that, making some announcements on our site soon. And hopefully after the hackathon, we will have some plugins that will enable us to actually leverage the TFUEL and the THETA network in some better, more integrated ways and accessible ways. I just, again, want to reiterate, this is not financial advice, but if you look at what's happening in the financial markets and then just think about this technologically at this time with the proliferation of high definition phones, VR devices, screens. Look, I don't want to erect a screen world, but we do use the screens, and as long as we do, I want Zetetic News, esoteric news curation and content to be delivered to the masses. So not only do I see the vision of the Theta team and I believe in them, I'm very excited about the technology for my own purposes, my own utility, and hey, why not? While we still have a monetary system, until we ascend to the next dimension where we don't need money, why not try to get rich at the same time? Okay, Theta is currently trading at around 15 cents per token. There are only 1 billion Theta tokens that will ever be issued. There's only 870 million which are currently in circulation. Okay, Theta tokens, again, are going to stay fixed, and they get staked in Guardian nodes, which I've already explained. TFUEL, on the other hand, there's only 5 billion with 3.8 billion in circulation, and it's trading at less than a penny, much less than a penny. Okay, what happens when TFUEL need to be purchased by, say, Netflix to supply their reduction of dependence on Amazon Web Services for their content delivery? I don't know, but I think this is going to go up. And if it goes up, I think that's going to be good for Zetetic.news. Number one. Number two, I think you're just going to see a waterfall of adoption that will drive up the price of the tokens, which will not necessarily drive up the price of ThetaFuel. It will only drive the improvement of the network and the value delivered to everybody who's participating in it. So it's not like people lose here. Even the viewers will win, people who are watching Netflix. So again, I'm not telling you to go out and buy some Theta tokens, do your own due diligence, but I do think it's one of the most underrated crypto projects. Peer-to-peer transactions, decentralized. Yeah, we got that. Bitcoin came out like right after 2008. That's kind of old news. Here we have a use case that is solved, that is being proven out. It's embedded on Zetetic.news, for crying out loud, and has excellent advisory pedigree. Since it's been 2 months since I last talked about Theta token, I do want to also highlight the recent hire, head of content Jerry Kowal, bringing executive experience from Netflix, Amazon, and numerous video startups. Jerry has spent 20 years building and operating businesses operating at the intersection of technology and media. He has held multiple senior executive positions in content acquisition, business development, and strategy for leading technology and media companies such as Netflix, Amazon, CBS, and North American digital head for Endemol Shine Group. He also has involvement with cryptocurrency and cryptocurrency-related video projects such as Bitmovio, Video, and Game Day. And what was really interesting to me in my research is Jerry actually sued Netflix and Amazon, accusing, I believe, Netflix of using its leverage to get him fired from Amazon after they accused him of stealing confidential information. So I don't know what happened here 100%, but it looks like Jerry Kowal is a hot commodity, and someone was mad that he went to the competition. That's just my opinion. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, but you might want to read about this and check out the project. So to summarize, ZNN is all in on the THETA Network. We're very much looking forward to the results of the hackathon. Hopefully, we'll get some WordPress or embedding technologies, and we will very soon be announcing a TFUEL payment model that will incentivize you to create and contribute to Zetetic.news. It's been a pleasure delivering this next iteration of Cyberchat to you. This is DaveDave, the guy asking all the dumb questions, signing off.